Progress is not an accident. It's a posture. The people who grow the most inside an organization, from the apprentice to technician, from a technician to leader, from one generation to the next, are almost always the people who combine genuine gratitude for where they are, where they were, with genuine hunger to where they're going. They never needed to pretend a starting point was good enough because they were grateful for it and moving through the same. This episode puts two of the most compelling growth stories inside of Abacus in front of the whole team. Aaron Duff is a living chapter in the history of the company. His father, Ken, was one of our very, very early employees and came over with Alan and laid the foundation for this company to be built on. Started off as an apprentice, earned his license, and has become a cornerstone for our plumbing department, and now has moved into a leadership role. And now his son has joined the organization as an electrical apprentice. This is not just one story, but it's going to be another as we talk about George as well and his journey with the company from apprentice to technician to leader with the organization as well. So excited to have you guys on with me today. When did Abacus stop being a job and start being something that you were genuinely building, like you saw a career out of this thing?
So one of the biggest reasons why I joined the military was because I was working as an accounting student for Shell Refinery. And I worked there for about 2 years, and I really didn't like sitting in a cubicle the entire time. Like just dealing with numbers the entire time in my face and just typing away. And I was like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. So I joined the military. I just went straight up to a Marine Corps recruiter and said, hey, sign me up. Let's go. And the one thing I really did like is I worked with my hands. And, being in the military, I always felt like it was always like a duty, and I felt really good about it. But then when I got out, I worked as a security officer for some time, and it gave me some of that same feeling, but not as much, because I really did like working with my hands. So when I got doing the rewire, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be something good. I'm liking it so far. I'm doing something valuable. And then I found out how much, the techs made. And I was like, okay, definitely going that direction. And then I found out at an old tech meeting that we get a watch for working here 10 years. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely going for that, because I'm a big watch guy. So I was like, I'm definitely doing that. But there was an instance where I went to a job, and, when we did the rewire, they were like, hey, thanks. And then they sort of just like, we went our two separate ways whenever we finished that job. But this one particular customer, about 6 days into my employment, the customer was very grateful. They were having a lot of electrical issues, and me and the other technician who were there, we were able to fix them up, get them all taken care of. We replaced their panels, overhead riser, switched out a couple plugs that were burnt up and things like that. And at that time, after the job, when they were so grateful, I worked with my hands and everything turned on, and everything was working fine. That moment, I knew, I was like, this is the job for me, because I'm doing something with my hands. I'm helping people around me, and I'm ultimately able to just feel good about it because it's physically working. So right then and there, I was like, I know I can make this into my career, something I've always wanted to do. Even though electrical wasn't the first foremost thing, it became my entire life now. So yeah, that ultimately is what got me to wanting to do more.
All right, so Aaron, so you earned your plumbing license here, right? And so walk me back to what that decision meant to you. What kind of commitment did it take from your end, and when did you decide, hey, I'm going to go after this and get my license and move on to my journeyman and beyond that?
So yeah, there was a lot of, it was huge. Like, well, up until then, obviously I was an apprentice, but then not only just the pay, obviously, like I was married, I had 2 kids at the time whenever I was an apprentice. And then once I got my journeyman's, it was, a whole lot different, my whole life changed essentially just from the pay raise itself. So, it was huge. But then the other thing is there's obviously a lot more responsibility on my side.
Mm-hmm.
I have to perform, I have to, double check, triple check, do everything that I had learned the previous 3.5 years. I had to perform out in the field on my own, everything that I learned. So the great thing about that was there was a lot of support. By that time, there was a few more plumbers. I knew who I could call just to give me a helping hand, on certain jobs. So, it was good that I could rely on, I'll say, the old timers like Bob, or I'll even say Mike Sure, just because He was here, doing whenever I was an apprentice, I also worked with Mike Sure as well. So it was good to have them around.
And obviously getting your license kind of changed your whole, like you said earlier, just your whole trajectory with your family, and you had a young family at the time. But is there anything that kind of kept you going and kept you going through it? Is there something else that drove you there?
Something else that drove me there. It was fun. Like, so I like different things, going to different jobs, and every house is different. So it wasn't the exact same thing every single day. So I'm not a big fan of, the monotonous, sitting in an office, that type of deal. So actually being out in the field, meeting people, helping people, knowing that you accomplished something and you fixed their problems. And so that was my motivation to keep on going. So, but it was tough times, and there was long hours, obviously.
Yeah, especially early on when you guys were, a small team, but you just, there were so many jobs coming in, so
Right.
it was a lot of long days, a lot of long hours. You know, I don't know what the average day would look like for you, but I'm sure it was a lot longer than it is today.
Yes. Yeah. And then you're still, you still have to get up and uh, go down to the shop. Every morning we used to go to the shop every morning. We had to be there like 7:30. So, you're driving from, say, Spring all the way down to 290 just to pick up your parts and do everything else and then head out to your first jobs. It was a long day.
Yeah. But I think you said it earlier. So it's just the camaraderie you had with the team. It was a tight knit group, and you had some guys that you started, building some working relationships with, and they kind of helped you get through things. So, but I think both of you said something pretty interesting. I think it goes for anybody that's in the trades. Every day is going to be a little bit different, and you're going to even some of the same type of jobs, but everyone's going to be a little bit different. I think that's what keeps the edge for you guys as far as, hey, if you have a bad job on this one, you kind of flush it and move on to the next one, right? So, Aaron, I mean, 21 years is a long time, right? And you've seen it all in your journey from an apprentice to technician, and now in your new role. Did your mindset change at all throughout that journey, or how have you evolved throughout those 21 years? Just from your approach to how you go about it today than what you did, when you first started.
Has my mindset changed? I wouldn't say so compared to, obviously I've learned a lot. I guess it has, since I've moved into the leadership role, I would say that it has changed, more of a trying to bring the technical side to kind of the younger folks or the apprentices. So that way they can learn the right way, and then also to learn why not to do it. I like the way George said that about when he was doing the electrical, because you also have to learn why not to do that, not just the right way of doing it. So bringing that side to the apprentices and then some of the younger techs, if I can, help, I'm always there.
It's good. I mean, because I think now you have a bigger impact on a group, right? Because you're teaching some, especially some of the younger guys that are just getting into the trade and being able to impact their career. And you can, I don't know if you see yourself in them, or you see, hey, I remember being at that stage and helping them understand the why behind what they're doing. But
Yeah.
to your point, is also what not to do and why that's important. So you've watched a lot of people, Aaron, through the years here, 21 years. Who had the progress mindset in your opinion, and who didn't throughout the years that you've been here? Or what did the ones who grew have? Did you see they all had in common?
Yeah, I would say that they weren't scared to take risks. Like whenever we were, back in the day, sometimes it would take a whole day just to put in one water heater. So, which nowadays is obviously extremely slow. But whenever Bob showed up and started with the options, everything changed. That's my opinion. Everything changed once Bob showed up, because it was, you're bringing options. He was kind of teaching the group just to give the options. And then they were selling bigger jobs. So whenever Bob showed up, we used to do kind of repipes. Everything was in copper, soft copper. And then we switched over to the PEX whenever Bob showed up. So just a lot of the folks that stayed, they're not afraid to not necessarily voice their opinion, but they're not afraid to take risks. You know what I mean? Because they're not, if it's a good idea, management is going to, they listen, so that's the great thing about advocacy. I could walk into your office, or George's or anybody's and just be like, spit out an idea. You're either going to tell me I'm stupid or you're going to be like, that's a good idea. So that's the great thing about advocacy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's one thing. I haven't been here as nearly as long as you have, but just early on, you learn that just working side by side with Alan for all the years that I did, he never kind of shut you down and like, oh no, yeah, that's Tony, you're crazy. That doesn't. It was always like, hey, let's think about it. But it was always pushing your mind to kind of think outside the box a little bit, a little entrepreneurial. Hey, how do we solve this problem? The problem is going to get solved one way or another. But it was always kind of let's approach it together. Let's open up ideas, and I think that encourages people to think differently and have a growth mindset. I try to carry that on here too with all of the new leadership that we have. Is like, hey, keep your door open. Let's make sure that we're always welcoming people because the best ideas come from the folks in the field that are living things every day. That's where we can have all the ideas sitting in a conference room, but you guys are the ones that are living it. The techs are the guys that are living it in the field. So we really have to have a good ear, and we have to listen to what's happening out there and seeing what's happening and welcome that, because that's where growth happens and that's where change happens for the good, right?
Absolutely.
So kind of shifting back over here to George a little bit, the move from technician to service manager is a different kind of transition, right? Because one day you're working side by side with guys and the next day, now you're their leader, right? What did that require of you that nothing prepared you for?
To be honest, sort of like data dumping a lot of things, because the leadership roles I was in the Marine Corps, so I left as a sergeant. And so that's more or less, I would say, is like equivalent to what I do now. But in the Marine Corps, it was like, if I say it, you do it, right? Like there's no question. It's an order. You got to take care of it. But here, one of the biggest challenges of that is that I can't do that here. I can't just be like, hey, you got to do it, take care of it. That's it. And on top of that, like also the fact is that these people did train me, majority of them, and in fact, and having to try to tell them what to do, it was a little bit difficult because it's like, how do I approach it? How do I do this? So I sort of had to data dump everything. I sort of started just taking a little bit of feedback, seeing how other leaders took care of their technicians as well. So I started observing what plumbing was doing, what HVAC was doing, even the managers around here in the office, because I was like, I don't know the first thing of how to do it here. In military, easy, but here, all different ball game.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because I think leadership, to me, like leadership is there's a difference between a boss and a leader, right? A boss
Correct.
points and people fall, like they do it because they have to do it, not because they want to do it. True leadership is when people do it because you're influencing them, and that's leadership, is influence. And so when you can influence people to do things because they understand what it is and why and the how, and so it really forces you to really be a better communicator, to get to know the team that works for you a little bit more. So because everybody's a little different, right? Every technician, every person that I've ever worked with throughout my different careers, they're all motivated by something different. Some people are motivated by money. Some people are motivated by a pat on the back. Some people are motivated by position, and some people are just genuinely self-motivated and want to do their best every single day. Those are harder to find, but it's just that how you grow as a leader. And I think you approached it the right way. It is not, just let me learn from everyone. Let me learn from another trade. Let me learn from another leader. And you didn't really have an ego when it came to learning. And I think some people their ego gets in the way. Oh, I don't, what am I going to learn from that guy? He's a different trade. It's a different this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you park your ego and you start working on, hey, I just want to be the best version of me, and I'm going to learn something from everybody. Could be learning somebody from the call center, or it doesn't matter where you're at. I'm going to learn something. And if you take that mindset and you go about it every day, you really great things happen. So
yes,
very, 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 very good perspective there. So is there anything you had to unlearn when you moved into a management seat?
I would say, honestly, the biggest thing I had to unlearn is that I'm not a technician anymore, as much as I was one and want to be one, right? Now, I'm not saying that means, hey, all of a sudden I'm your boss now. No, it's more or less like I'm in a different seat now. I still have to remember where I came from. From being an apprentice, to being a technician. But the one biggest thing I tell a lot of my techs now is, look, I'm not, even though I was a technician, I'm not an expert at being a service technician anymore, especially for being in this role for so many years now. But my entire thing is that now people are looking up to me, right? And asking me questions and saying the direction that they can go. I'm not the apprentice anymore or the technician asking a manager now. I am that seat. So the learning aspect, or what I had to unlearn, was I'm the guy getting asked questions, not the one asking as much questions as I used to. So the unlearning phase of it was, now I have to be more or less a guy with the answers instead of the guy who has all the questions, even though I probably dove into the role with more questions than answers because it's, all brand new. But that was the biggest thing, that I'm not a technician anymore. I'm a leader. I'm somebody who's there to support them. Even though I did that as a tech, I'm doing it just in a slightly different way.
Gotcha.
That's crazy. I'm currently going through that right now.
Yeah.
I want to jump in and just take control and do everything. I gotta step back. Hold on.
Yep. And that's that growth aspect for them too. Like, you take a step back. So yeah, that's one of the hardest things to do.
And guys, I'll just be honest. I mean, in my role today, and you just want to go, well, it's faster for me to just go ahead and do that. And but all that does, it doesn't develop the people that you're trying to develop if you don't actually let them do it. And hey, what I try to tell people today is like, hey, just what do you think, or kind of ask them a question. 9 times out of 10, they know the answer, and they're just trying to make sure, they're trying to get reassurance that they're doing it the right way. So what you want to really work on there is just kind of getting, hey, let me make sure that they're crystal clear on what we're doing here, whatever the task is, and give them the confidence to do it. If they make a mistake, we fix it. It's no big deal. And that's what I tell a lot of the leaders, like, hey, just like go with it. If you think that's the right move, if it's wrong, I'm going to coach you on the side and say, hey, next time, let's maybe not do that, or could we have done it differently? Or what do you think? Did it work? Did it not work? And the only way to learn and grow is to make mistakes. And you just have to not make the same mistake twice, learn from your mistakes and move forward. But that's the hardest thing. I mean, even you're transitioning from, no, Aaron, you're transitioning from being a technician, what your routine is. Now you got to learn a new routine, and you got different set of issues with learning new guys. And, but that's just part of growth and part of leadership. And you get into another role, it's the same. You just have to approach it the same way, right? Let me help them and help them get better. If I help as many people as I possibly can get better and achieve what they want to achieve, I'm ultimately going to get where I want to get to. And I'm a big believer in that. It's a Zig Ziglar. Alan used to tell me, hey, if you help enough people get what they want to achieve, you're going to get everything that you want. Right? Don't chase that stuff. That stuff will happen by just helping them. Help as many people as you possibly can. So good stuff there. You just recently moved into a leadership role, and obviously you've got a long career in the field. How has that helped you right now? And as you transition, how do you carry that into the new job? How do you help the younger technicians or the guys that you're going out on and working with? How is that experience helping?
Yeah, I would have to go back to the technical side. So just if they have any questions, I'm able to, answer them just based on what I've seen in the past. Whenever they do come to me or ask me questions, it's a lot easier for me to kind of empathize or sympathize with what they're going through, just because I've been there. So I think just a lot of that will help me. Again, I do have to step back and just, like you're saying, just let them go. And just because I do want to jump in there and do it not necessarily my way, but just to show them, you know what I mean? So it's been different. I'll say that.
And it's a different, right? And it's just like anything new, right? It's going to be a little different. You're going to get a rhythm. You're going to get, hey, I'm okay. I'm not helping him if I'm doing all the work for him, or if I'm answering the questions for him. It's not going to make him better. It's just
Correct.
maybe easier for me. The hardest part of transitioning from a role where you're side by side or you're in the field to a leadership role is learning to step back and learning to sit back and say, hey, what did you ask questions? What did you see me do? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Try to get that feedback, because then it becomes more conversational, and that technician or the other person feels a little more comfortable. Okay, I get it. The light bulbs start clicking, and then that's when you really start getting going. So it'll take a minute, but just like anything else, you just got to keep working at it. You got to keep working at it.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, question for you. So your son just started as an electrical apprentice. So this is the third generation of Duffs in the Abacus family here. How did that conversation go, or what did you have any like swaying in one way or another between trades?
No, not at all. He actually came to me. So he was doing college, community college. He wasn't a fan of it. Um, but then he came to me one day and, he was like, "Hey, we just want to let you know that I think I want to be an electrician." And I was like, "Okay, are you?" That's like water and electricity don't mix. But no, he came to me and I was like, it's going to be a trade is like the best thing, in my opinion, the best career that you can go into. You can do it anywhere in the world. Example, Alan, my dad. So being that he came to me and asked, about it, I was like, if that's what you want to do, you're more than welcome, but it's a hard work. It's long hours. If they ask you to do something, you have to do it. If they're telling you to stick your finger on light sockets, that's a whole different story. But yeah, he came to me and asked me about the trades. But so why was it all about, yes, let's do that.
Yeah, your son is now kind of entering the electrical side, and Paul as well from Alan's son is also working on the electrical side, and I just chatted with him the other day. He absolutely is doing really well and loves the team there and what's going on with electrical. So I think the guys are going to progress really well and become the future faces of our electrical team and Abacus as a whole. So it's great to see those guys here. All right, guys, I'm going to ask both of you guys the same question. So George, what is the one thing you want every Abacus team member who is still early in their career, maybe to actually believe about where they can go?
The biggest aspect of it is having a goal in mind. That's what helped me decide to what I wanted to become today. Or even just from becoming an apprentice to a technician was, what do I want to do in the future? What's my goals, right? And one of the biggest advice I've ever gotten is, if I make this decision, will it help me be where I want to be, or will it falter, right? So for example, could I eat a burger or could I eat a salad? Do I want a long life or do I want a short life, right? So it's something in that regard. And so one of the biggest thing is always have a goal in mind. What do you want to be at a certain point in your life, whether it be having kids, family, house, everything like that, or do you want to be self-sufficient, everything like that? If that biggest thing is that if that goal isn't aligned in that regard, then, probably not the way you want to go, right? But in my mind, the way I see it, if you're young in your career and you can see this becoming something that you can achieve more, go more, and is going to help you be at the end of your goal, go for it. And the only thing stopping you from achieving that is yourself.
Good stuff. So Aaron, I'm asking you the same question. So what's the one thing you want every Abacus team member who is still early in their career to actually believe about where they can go?
Man, George, your answer was so good. How do I beat that? Of course, the phones. Yeah, realistically, you're the only one holding yourself back. There is so much potential here at Abacus. There's a lot to learn. If you have questions, ask somebody. There's a lot of experience, and it doesn't matter if you're in AC, electrical. Yeah, I'm sure even in accounting, there's a lot of experience around you. So if you don't know, just ask somebody, and everybody's more than willing to help. And the more you grow, the next person that comes up, you can help them, and it's just everybody all helping each other. So it's like a beautiful machine.
Yeah. I'm going to ask myself the same question and answer it, right? So I think the one thing I would like every team member, whether you're in the contact center, whether you're in the warehouse, it doesn't matter where you're at, is the one thing I just want everybody to know is you can achieve anything you want to achieve. You can really go and I always tell people, I tell the new hires whenever we go through our new hire breakfast, is it doesn't matter where you start as long as you have a goal. To George's point, you have a goal. Hey, I may be a lead generator today. I want to be the best lead generator I can possibly be. And where that takes me, it's going to open up another door for me. And whether that's a leadership role, or maybe there's a contact center role that opens up and I want to apply for that. Well, then from there it goes to something else, and then to something else. And then maybe they get into the trade. So you never know where you're going to fish. I will tell you, I didn't when I came on board with Abacus, I had no goal of being the president of Abacus one day. I just wanted to be the best of what I was going to be, I was asked to do. And wherever that took me, it took me. And it just, I was going to just kind of get in and help as many people as I possibly could. And then the next opportunity came, and then so that's all it is. And I think everybody can achieve that, and everybody can get where they want to get to, as long as you just, there's no secret sauce. There's nothing that replaces hard work, but you just have to have a goal in mind and and just stay focused on that goal. And, if you come a little short, it's just the journey of getting there is the biggest thing. So last question for you guys to close it up. And I just want you to finish this one sentence for me. The progress mindset means what? So George, you want to go first?
Yeah. Progress mindset means being prepared. And I know that's weird, but one of the things I've always done is, if I want to move somewhere, move up, what's wrong with me asking the person who's in that spot how they got there? So progress mindset is about being prepared, in my opinion. So that way I know what I need to do to achieve the next step.
Okay.
So Tony, if I come ask you some questions at some point, you know why.
Okay, good. Fair enough. Aaron, so the progress mindset means what to you?
Showing up. You can't really progress unless you don't show up, consistently every day. And then, really that's proving your worth in a way. So showing up, I would say.
Yeah, both of you guys are spot on. I think for me, progress mindset is just consistency, right? You don't have to be 30% better every day. You just have to be 1% better than you were yesterday. And you do it, you start stacking that 365 days a year, for multiple years, you're a lot better than you were today than you were, a year ago or 2 years ago. That's progress. And sometimes, and I've got 3 boys in their 20s, right? And so sometimes these guys want stuff like yesterday. Everything's so fast to the people today, like everything, right? You think about where technology is and everything else, everything's instant. And sometimes, but success isn't instant. It's just small, steady, consistent steps, day by day by day. Good days or bad days. You're going to have bad days, and you can't beat yourself up on it. You just have to learn from it and move on and be consistent. Wake up the next day and do the same thing, get better and better and better. That's progress. And I think when people start understanding that nothing's instant, was telling somebody the other day, it's like, yeah, I'm an overnight success, 25 years in the making. It takes you that long to just get better and better and better. And there's no such thing as an overnight success. That may be more luck than anything else. Sometimes luck is good when you're in the right place at the right time and have the right mindset. So, well, guys, it was great to chat with you guys, learn a little bit more about you, and hopefully the rest of the group, the rest of the company learned a little bit more about you today than what they did going in. And I really appreciate you guys' time today, and just being candid with everybody and kind of sharing your story a little bit, where you're at and how you got there. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.